Welcome back mga kamatlets! It's me again, Teacher Robert. So in our previous video, we discussed about solving problems involving variation. Now in this video, we'll talk about zero and negative integral exponents. So in this video, you will know how to simplify expression that involves zero and negative integral exponents. And we'll have also a short recap on the laws of exponent. So, but because before we proceed to the zero and negative exponent, we have to discuss first what are those laws of exponent. So, those laws of exponent was already discussed when you were in grade 7. So, let's start. So, the laws of exponent. So, the first rule, product rule for exponent. That is x to the power of m times x to the power of n is equal to x to the power of m plus n. So, to multiply powers having the same base, keep the base and add the exponents. So, that's the first rule. So, for example, you have, so a to the power of 6 times a to the power of 4, that is times. So, I forgot to put symbol there. We have a to the power of 6 times a to the power of 4 times a is equal to a to the power of 6 plus 4 plus 1. So, if you observe, so all the exponent are just added. So, we have 6, 4, and 1. So, 6 plus 4 plus 1 is equal to 11. So, that makes a to the power of 11. Second rule, we have power rule for exponents. We have that is the quantity x to the power of m raised to the power of n. So, in other book, this is what we call power of powers. Power of a power. So, power. So, that is exponent or quantity x to the power of m raised to the power of n, which is equal to x to the power of n times n. So, that is to find power of a base, keep the base, and multiply the exponent. So, for example, you have a to the power of 6, which is to the power of 4, which is equal to, you have to multiply the exponent. So, that is a to the power of 6 times 4. So, that makes a to the power of 24. Okay, the third power or the third rule, we have power of a product. So, that is the quantity xy raised to the power of m is equal to x to the power of m, y to the power of m. So, we have to find power of a product. You have to distribute the power of each factor and then multiply the resulting powers. So, you just distribute the power. Okay. For example, 2 or quantity 2 or the quantity of 2a to the power of 6, b to the power of 2 is raised to the power of 4. So, you have to distribute this power of 4 to each factor. So, including 2. So, that is 2 raised to the power of 4. Then, a to the power of 6 times 4 because a has already its exponent 6. So, you have to multiply 6 times 4. Apply that second rule. So, the power of power. So, we have 6 times 4 is 24. Then, b to the power of 2 times 4 is 8. So, that makes 16, 8 to the power of 24, b to the power of 8. Okay, number 4. The quotient of, or the power of a quotient. Okay, we have the quotient of x over y, the quotient of x and y raised to the power of m, or x over y raised to the power of m is equal to x over raised to the power of m over y to the power of m. Since, di ba, you have just distributed the exponent to its factor. Okay, the numerator and denominator inside the parentheses. Okay, to find the power of quotient, distribute the exponent to the numerator and denominator inside the parentheses. So, for example, you have x over y to the power of 4 is equal to, so distribute the exponent 4 to both numerator and denominator, so that is x to the power of 4, y to the power of 4. Okay, we have the fifth law. We have quotient of a power. So, quotient of a power. So, that is x to the power of m over x to the power of n is equal to, you have to subtract the exponent. So, that is x, keep the base, and subtract the exponent. X raised to the power of m minus n, where x is not equal to 0. So, our x is not equal to our base, will not be equal to 0. Dili siya pwede. Di pwedeng maging 0 ang base natin. Okay. To find the power of a quotient with the same base, keep the base and subtract the exponent where x is not equal to 0. For example, okay, in quotient of a power, there are three possibilities because there are three instances. Because it involves two exponent, the numerator and denominator, and we are going to get the cos or the difference of the two exponent. Now there are cases that how about if this exponent are not equal or one is greater to the other? So let's find out. If a, so in a we have if m is greater than n. So if n is greater than n, that is when the exponent of the numerator is greater than the exponent in the denominator. Okay? So this is how we are going to get. To find power of quotient with the same base, if the exponent of the numerator is greater than that of the denominator, keep the base and subtract the exponent. For example, you have x to the power of 4 over x to the power of 2. So, as you observe, the exponent in the numerator is greater than the exponent in the numerator. Mas malaki yung exponent kaysa or sa numerator kaysa denominator. Okay. So we have to subtract x raised to the power of 4 minus 2. That makes x to the power of 2. That is because 4 minus 2 is 2. So x raised to the power of 2. Okay. How about if the numerator or the exponent in the numerator is less than the exponent is in the denominator? So, mas malaki yung sa baba. Okay? We have to find the power of quotient with the same base. If the exponent of the numerator is less than that of the denominator, you have to keep the base and subtract the exponent where x is not equal to 0. So, that is mas malaki yung nasa baba, exponent nasa baba. Mas malaki yung exponent sa denominator. Okay, you have to subtract. So, kasi mas malaki yung sa denominator, doon natin isusubtract. X is equal to 4 minus 2. That is equal to 1 over x squared. Okay? Sir, how about if we are going to subtract? You can. But the answer is would be the same, but the process is different. For example, if we are going to or subtract, that is subtract, instead we are going to subtract it in the denominator, doon tayo magsusubtract sa numerator. So that makes 2 minus 4 is equal to negative 2. So the result is negative 2. The exponent is negative 2. X is negative 2. X is raised to the power of negative 2. Then, sir, iba. Pareho sila. Because x is equal to, or x raised to the power of negative 2 is the same as x or 1 over x squared. So, we will talk about that later in the, in our topic, negative exponent. Okay. By the way, dito nanggaling yung negative exponent. So, okay, letter C, we have, how about if the exponent of both numerator and denominator are equal? Okay, so I have to find power of quotient with the same base. If the exponent of the numerator and the denominator are equal, you have to keep the base and subtract the exponents where x is not equal to 0. For example, pareho sila ng value ng exponent. Pareho sila ng exponent, both numerator and denominator. So we could, if you are going to subtract, the result is 0. Okay? X to the power of 0. The exponent is 0. Now, how comes it is equal to 1? As you observe, if we're going to divide two numbers that have the same value or two equal numbers, the result is 1, correct? So, pareho sila x to the power of 4 divided by x to the power of 4. The result is 1. So, x to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So, dito nanggaling yung 0 exponent. 0 exponent. So, I'm going to explain that in our next. We have 0 exponent. We have a to the power of 0. So, okay. For any non-zero number that is raised to 0 is equal to 1. So, ibig sabihin, kahit anong numero, wag lang 0 kasi non-zero siya. So, kahit anong any number except 0, if this will raise to 0, if the exponent is 0, will be equal to 1. Always equal to 1. So, except 0 kasi because if 0 will be raised to 0 or the exponent of 0 is 0, it is not equal to 1. It is undefined. Undefined ang tawag. We will call it undefined. So, we have non-zero number. So, for any non-zero number, for any number except 0, that is raised to 0, it will always equal to 1. Okay, for example, x raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1, correct? And then, if we are going to have the parenthesis, so it means to say that any number that is any number that can be found inside the parenthesis will be treated as 1. So, tratatuhin siya na isa. So, ibig sabihin, ang lahat ng nakasulat sa parenthesis ay ma-raise to 0. So, ibig sabihin, it is equal to 1. Okay, 9 raised to 0 is equal to 1. We have this expression also, the quantity, okay, we have the parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis is the quantity 9x cubed y7 z to the power of 7. 9 cubed or 9 x to the power of 3 y to the power of 5 z to the power of 7 is raised to 0. So, since those expressions are inside the parenthesis and that parenthesis is raised by 0 and the exponent is 0, it is equal to 1. Another is 100 million raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. And then all the alphabet letter or all the letters in the alphabet inside the parenthesis, written inside the parenthesis, and the parenthesis is raised to 0, it is equal to 1. Again, kahit gaano kalaki at kaliit yung numero, basta ito ay erased to 0, it will always be equal to 1. Kahit anong kalaki, kaliit yung numero, basta ang exponent niya ay, yung power niya ay 0, it is equal to 1. Okay, let's proceed to negative exponent. A to the power of negative m. For any non-zero number that is raised to negative exponent, that is, a to the power of negative m is equal to 1 over a to the power of m. And if 1 over a to the power of negative m is equal to a to the power of m. Okay, anong ibig sabihin yan? What's the meaning of that? Okay, to make the negative exponent positive, if the exponent is in the numerator, you have to bring it down to the denominator to make it positive. So, and then if the exponent of the denominator is negative, so you bring it up to make it positive. Ibig sabihin, my own definition on that is that when a number is negative, have a negative exponent, that means that certain number is not in his right position or right place. So, kailangang ilipat. So, dalawa lang ang lilipatan. Numerator and denominator. Kung nasa numerator siya, tapos negative siya, negative exponent, ilipat siya sa denominator. You have to bring it down to make it positive. Then, kapag ang numero, if the number has a negative exponent and it is in the denominator, you have to bring it up. Ilipat siya sa numerator. Ilipat siya sa numerator para yung exponent niya maging positive. Okay? So, for example, x to the power of negative 3 is equal to 1 over x3. So, x to the power of negative 3 is in the numerator. So, you have to bring it down to the denominator to make it positive. Okay. Then, again, this one is expression 9x to the power of negative 3, y to the power of negative 5, z7. So, as you observe, x and y, sila lang yung merong negative exponent. So, sila lang ang lilipat natin. We have to bring this expression or this numbers, we have to bring it down to the denominator because nandyan sila sa numerator. Okay. So, maiiwan si 9 at saka si z to the power of 7. Then, si x to the power of negative 3 at saka si y to negative 5 mapupunta sa denominator at kapag nailipat na, magiging positive na. Yung exponent nila magiging positive. So, x cubed y 5. Again, another example, you have 10x to the power of negative 1. So, that makes 1 over 10x. This one is 5m to the power of negative 2 over n squared p to the power of negative 3. So, as you observe, m has an exponent of negative 2. So, m is in the numerator, so we have to bring it down to the denominator. Then, in the denominator, p has a negative exponent, so we have to bring it up. So, ilipat si p at saka si m. So, magiging 5p to the power of 3 over m squared n squared. Okay, next is a to the power of negative 3 b11 over c to the power of negative 5. So, si a has a negative exponent. And then, si c has a negative exponent. So, sila yung ililipat natin. So, magiging b11, c5. So, nandito na si c, positive na. Then, over a to the power of 3. Si a, so positive na rin. Inilipat na. Okay, that's it. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. See you in our next video. Have a good day, everyone. Keep safe always. Bye-bye.